Hello everyone, good evening. Greetings to all of you, even those who are joining us online. A warm welcome to another episode 2 of Teaching Through Conversation Season 3. As we continue to commemorate Youth Month, we do so being mindful of the challenges that young people face. We do so remembering the young people of 1976. However, not being blind or turning a blind eye on the contemporary issues that young people are faced with today. One of that being substance abuse. Some of them being involved or choosing substance for them to escape pain, for them to as a way to cope, or just to fit in. Then at the end of the day, they find themselves hooked in something that was meant to be temporarily. It is now have become their way of living. So this is the reason we are here, as we reflect as young people. And today's conversation, or tonight's conversation rather, is high today, lost tomorrow. The cost of substance abuse on youth futures. So our guiding scripture, it's a scripture that is very well known to most of us. That is John 10, verse 10. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. So the question, therefore, that I want to, as you are aware, I am your host, LL. I am riding solo this evening. So it's going to be an engagement with all of us. The question that I wish to pose to all of us is that why are so many people, or so many young people actually, turning to substance abuse? Why do they turn to alcohol? Why do they turn to drugs? And we are mindful that substance abuse is not an issue of young people only, but it is a community issue. It is an issue that continues to break families, that continues to steal people of their future, that continues to rob people of their dreams. But the question perhaps that we need to ask before we can judge is, why is it so easy? Why is it almost the first thing that people turn to, which is alcohol and mostly drugs? And I want to hear your views. Okay, let me start. There's no single answer in this. There's no definite answer. But like I have said, many young people carry burdens. Many young people are going through life. Many young people find themselves in the in-between of the known and the unknown. They have finished school and they are waiting for something that is not happening, that they don't know when is it going to happen. So they find themselves facing unemployment. They find themselves facing academic pressure. They find themselves facing peer pressure, like I said, to fit in or to even maybe escape anything that they could be dealing with. But at the end of the day, they find themselves with an issue of being now hooked to alcohol or drugs. So in order for them to cope, I want to believe, in when they try to find some solution, they do not realize that they are finding themselves in something that is beyond them. But that was not the intention. I don't think, and I speak for correction, I don't think, okay, in fact, I think sometimes it is testing, what is the word that I'm looking for? Experimenting. And then it starts with experimenting, but then it ends up being an addiction. It was never intended to be an addiction. And like I said, someone could say, okay, I just want to forget of what is happening. The pain is unbearable. The challenge that I'm facing is beyond me, because like we said in the previous episode, us as the present parents, now we are failing our children. Rona, our parents used to tell us everything that we are faced with, pray and pray and pray. But Rona, we do not direct our children, seldom. We only do that seldom, to direct our children that the solution is prayer, the solution is church, the solution is God. So why do you think young people turn to alcohol and drugs? Yes, Mahal.
I think substances are romanticized on social media. So like a lot of peers and like young adults usually post like the effects of substance abuse, which are like temporary pleasures, like the feeling of it, instead of like long-term effects which actually affect like their liver and stuff like that. So they focus more on like temporary positives and not like the negatives that follow when you abuse certain substances.
And do you know why? Thank you for that. Why this subject, we're talking about this topic. I was listening to Metro FM and I said to my children, that was last week sometime, and Faith spoke about that. Young people, particularly girls, are resorting to substance abuse, particularly alcohol. And she asked why. And the question was, imagine when you start using substance at your age, guys, what's going to happen 10 years later, 20 years later? Your health, your liver, you know, what kind of future is there? Okay, we move on. What does substance abuse actually steal from a young person? Say that again. Please elaborate. Their life, of course. How so?
Their life in terms of everything, honestly. Physically, they are what I'm looking for. Their life expectancy goes down. Emotionally, they can't cope. They can't regulate their emotions on their own. They have to use something else to regulate the emotions.
Goodness.
Mentally, it eats your brain.
Sure.
Somehow. What else? Spiritually, you tend to worship the substance because you believe it's what gives you the solution. It's what gives you the relief that you need. Taking their life away from them.
What does substance?
You're never sober. You're never sober.
Sure.
So it steals that from you. You know, you're never yourself.
Sure.
So yeah, for me that's.
It also steals their time. Because sometimes when you are addicted to drugs, you might lose out on doing your schoolwork.
Sure.
You know, your peers will complete their studies on time. You might bunk work.
Goodness.
You know, there's so many issues. And it's also one of the main factors. If you have to deal with your substance abuse issues.
All over again. Time is lost.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing.
I think it's also all my experience on drug. I think you lose your memory because I recall from my own experience with drugs. When it's the passing of my aunt, so I was taking this. They said stress pills. I think that it's a drug because I remember my memory used to shut down at a certain time.
Sure.
When I'm sleeping, I can't even recall everything. But immediately in the morning, That's where now I can start recalling everything. I think it kills the memory, it kills the mind of a person. Like, you can't think for yourself because now you're using this substance to just get relief of the stress so that you are not focusing or thinking further.
My goodness. Thank you so much for sharing. So, substance abuse actually does not steal everything all at once. Everything that you've mentioned, very true. But then it happens slowly. It happens gradually. It steals dreams. It steals opportunities. It steals even your judgment. Because when you are intoxicated, you are unable to make those informed decisions. You are unable to judge properly. So it stirs even discipline. You lose discipline. And we touched up slightly on that, even though we did not use the term. But when we talk about how we carry ourselves, it speaks to your discipline, your self-discipline. Immediately when you are intoxicated, it means discipline vanishes slowly but surely. So as young people, therefore, you find someone with great potential, but immediately when they start to use substance, something is lost. I mean, you look, and I'm sure Memsibi, you can relate to this, people that we grew up with, people who were bright, people who had bright futures, but they started using alcohol. And during our time, drugs were not really there. And when we talk drugs, maybe it was weed, yes. But real drugs were not there. But people used alcohol. You look at them today. Oh, yes. Yes, you are right, my family, it was true. So you look at these people today and you're like, if I were to introduce them to you, you would think they are double the age. And we are in the same age group, but they have lost, as you have said, many things. Yes, sir.
I think
Yes, sir.
substance abuse also steals someone's joy.
Goodness.
Yeah. I don't think you can be fully, besides this momentary pleasure, I don't think you can fully live the life of joy if you are a slave to the drugs.
Sure.
Yeah. Earlier on, Fundism House thought about this romanticization of drugs. I remember when we were growing up, people who were smoking weed, they'll lie, say it makes you masturbate and that but then you see people deteriorating. And I thought, this guy's deteriorating. I mean, but then the claim is that you're gonna masturbate if you do it.
So the tragedy of substance abuse is not only what is lost today, but what could have been tomorrow. The future that was meant to be bright, as Jesus says, the thief comes to steal and kill and destroy. But I came so that you may have life. Not only life, but life in its abundance. Life in its fullness. So life in its fullness is not found in substance usage, but it is found in Christ. So the question is, what does the future look like if this trend continues? Because look, it's here, right here, next to us. I walk, I run here, and I see children of your age. Early in the morning, they are there shivering, girls of alcohol. What does the future look like? Because this trend is continuing. And I used to do that in the Free State, where I would caution, I would rebuke everyone, and they would say, these kids, and some of them would. But here I'm not so free like that, yes, even though I'm a minister. because they are not just alone, they are surrounded by other people. So what does the future look like with this trend? Yes, Katla.
What if it looks like? That okay, I think people who are using substance abuse by choice are okay. Let me say I want to believe. About substance abuse without talking about other kids were introduced to it. Like now when you're talking about these girls and they're shivering, meaning they're going through withdrawal. It could be it's the environment that they grew up in. You know, I think parents sometimes on arm's length, being like, hey, 101, Sukulis and 1, 2, and 3 and stuff. But my question is always with people that we see there on the road, with kids that when you go downtown, that traumatized me once I saw that. But what pushed that child to go there? Number one. Number two, this like, oh, my child, I don't really get it fully. Where they're like, my child, I would allow my child to drink with me. The reason is to see their limit, so that if they are too drunk, they're at least in a safe space. Which I think has its advantages and disadvantages, like everything. But I think that there's a lot of kids who are in drugs and alcohol at a very young age, and they get hooked and they get addicted, and it's difficult for them to get out of it, because now it's no longer a addiction. I don't think it's a thing that you can just let go of. It's a disease that you deal with, and people think that you can just, it's just like people when they're like, when you're depressed, it's in your head, you can just tell yourself not to be depressed. Or they remind you of all the good things that you have in your life. But I think that with addiction, it's a disease that's something that someone deals with on a daily basis, that they need support with and all of that. But again, addiction is something that if you want to rehabilitate, it's something that you have to make a decision on your own. Like, you know what, I want to stop this. And that's when it will work. But I think in terms of the future, we need to acknowledge why in the first place this thing is happening. I think parents, we need to stop. Oh, okay, I'm not a parent. You need to stop. When a child has anxiety, when a child is depressed, when a child has suicidal thoughts, don't tell them, okay, you have 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3. Yes, maybe from your side you're trying to help, but find your child help. Other kids, then they're like, okay, I tried to ask for help, and then they resort to, their friends are like, no, this is what's happened to me, which is Savannah, and then your child becomes hooked on that thing. So I think it starts with when kids are like, I'm mentally struggling, because not every child will not do it. Like in terms of not every child will be like, okay, I'm struggling with my mental health, and then if they don't get the help, then they don't resort to drugs. But yeah, I think before we think of the future, let's rectify.
Thank you. Yes. Okay, give it to Maham.
Could you please repeat the question?
With,
I forgot about this.
yes, I'm saying with what is happening, how the trend is going, with the trajectory is taking, what kind of future is there for young people? Especially that we commemorating Youth Month, we're reflecting on the youth of 1976. What kind of future is there?
For me, I think it's a future with less believers, like Christians and stuff. because as Christians we are encouraged to be sober-minded, to treat our bodies well, because our bodies are the temple of God. You understand? So now, as a believer, there are two ways to rather see, like, how do I explain? There are two ways to take okay, when we are encouraged to be sober-minded and to let go of substances so that we are not controlled by them. Because at times, obviously when someone is drunk, then certain things that they do when they're drunk, they wouldn't do when they're sober-minded. So when I read something like that, I'd know that no, I shouldn't take part in that, because would I really be treating my body well if I'm engaging in substance abuse and all? But another person could rather see religion as something that restricts them. So why should I focus on that if I can live life my own way? To a point where they decide that they'd rather not follow religion at all so that they can live life the way they want to. So now if you don't have like religion to back you up, or religion to rather, to convict you from doing certain things, then you won't feel guilty for doing them, and it will become a norm. So I feel like it'll rather be a generation with not so many believers, because they'll see it as, why is a religion telling me to not do certain things when this is my life and I can control it?
Very sad. You want to add some?
Yes, I want to say something. Please, I think what is happening now outside, it's go back to your parental guidance from us. You see, whenever I look at myself, I look at the reflection of my parents. So each and everything that I'm doing, I should think about what my parent can say about that. This is how we raise you. Like, I think you guys as parents, you have done your part to the certain level. So going forward, it's up to us. How do we decide? So this thing goes whenever, like, coming to church. I'll past year, have conversation with people. They will ask every time it's church. Go to church. You see, so it started with what they never attended Sunday school. It's going back to Sunday school, because we have been taught by this God from at an early age, Sunday school. So if you grow up from Sunday school now, you know that Sundays you have to be at church. You have to make time for God. So for them now, it's very difficult to convince someone who didn't start from Sunday school. Now come to church. So it's going to be a different story. So I think it lies along those lines with how were you raised, and then did your parents, and also when it's going out. I never went out when I was still at home. So why should I practice now when I'm in Gauteng? But now I should go out the whole night. Where else at home I know there are rules and regulations I need to follow when I'm home. At this time you need to be home. So I recall my first year, I came around 7 in the house. And then I found my mama waiting in the gate. And then like, not here. If at Bloemfontein, yeah, you'll do it at Bloemfontein, but not here. This is my house. These are my rules. So you're not going to do it here. Like, so those are the rules, or those are the norms. That's if we are raising a child, and then the child can go beyond that, and then you, a parent, is like, no, but it's fine. It's where the mistakes start. So I think it goes along those lines.
I think I like what Zamkuhle is saying about. I don't have to show them. Abuanka Sunday School. When I don't know if you guys know the real daytime, it's no longer there now. Timera said that there's a difference between raising your children and parenting. I think she said that the ages where you raise your child is when they are born and until just before 10. After that, you are guiding them, you are parenting them, because you have taught them what is right, what is wrong. So when a parent misses that part of raising, they're going to struggle a lot. Like Zamakule says, Sunday school plays a pivotal role. You can tell a child that went to Sunday school and a child that didn't go to Sunday school. The same way you can tell with example with denomination, someone who didn't grow up in the Methodist Church and someone who grew up in it, you can tell that, okay, this one knows how this church works. The same way, okay, I know what a Christian life looks like or what we are striving to be, and someone who doesn't have an example of that. So, yeah, I agree.
Very important. Tatemsi, you wanted to add?
Yeah, I think it will be a generation that is dependent on drugs. Imagine to operate, you'd have to be on drugs.
My goodness.
I think you're going to have problem with productivity in the long run. If people didn't have drugs, that means, say, be it lawyers or doctors, that means they won't just be in any way. It's going to affect the effect of their output, whatever they do.
Wow.
Imagine it will only be effective if you have drugs. It's a problem for this.
Sure.
A serious problem.
That's a serious problem. And I like what these young people are raising, that the foundation is critical. You can't do away without foundation. Any building without proper foundation collapses at some stage. So what kind of future, as you say in the MCB, with the absence of foundation, it means that we will look at dropouts. We will look at the crime statistics that is increasing. We will pay the price as the society. You know, we will be the community that is continually paying the price for what it failed to do. Therefore, we continually pay the price for not having guided. And as we've said it, and as I said it, that sometimes as parents, it's like we want to please our children and therefore not tell them exactly what your mother would say. That's what my mother would say. Not here, not in my house. Here, you live by my rules. So we are close, we are friends, but to a certain extent, at the end of the day, I'm your parent and you will do as I say. So it's the foundation. Yes, Lita.
I'm not gonna necessarily answer your question, but these are my thoughts as we are having this conversation. That substance or abuse, just in general, as it being only substance, I feel like abuse is something that is taking life from you, not restoring life in you. So, in my head, I'm looking at the fact that even our own parents are suffering libona at the end of the day, you know. So, yes, at the end of the day, we can look at the outcome where, okay, yes, we are the next generation. However, I'm here thinking to myself, okay, I feel like our generation is the generation that I don't trust in. People have lost that thing, everything is like a process, you know. So we are on this movie, YOLO.
What is that?
You only live once. You know, so yeah, YOLO. So I feel like that's something that drives a lot of people. Okay, I'm young, anyways. Let's just do it now and get it over and done.
So we
with,
don't
you know?
even want to go through the process of waiting.
Exactly.
Your
So
time.
the discipline is gone because it's like YOLO, my rules. Nobody can tell me what to do. I do it and I keep doing it. You know. So I feel like for us, I feel like the whole process thing.
My goodness.
It has become a thing, nobody wants to wait. Like the whole waiting thing, the whole what is it called? I'm not sure if this goes for the sentence. But like we've lost this thing of, is it yearning? For certain things, you know, in life, and I'm just here thinking to myself, okay, with this thing, the whole discipline,
That's why a lot of people then have this thing of feeling like Christian people are doing too much because it's like a discipline. Because today or you've sinned, there's something that you refer to that says this is not how you do it. This is how you do it. You know. Yes, we are human, Hore. You know, it's not gonna happen exactly the way it is said in the book, because I was telling my sister Hore, my friend the other day was even like, because he's saying, Hore, I feel like ever since you gave your life to God, everything you say, everything you see, it's God. Like, I can't even make a joke with you and you don't refer it back to that.
You are dull.
I feel like I lost you, you know. So, and then he said, Hore, imagine if you find out, Hore, you were following this all for nothing. And I thought to myself, Hore, okay, that's deep. But at the end of the day, I feel like Mahao is saying, Hore, Christianity, I feel like, in regards of how the world is going and stuff, even if we find Hore at the end of the day, it is not it. But I feel like it's just making us better people.
It was
So
all
I'll rather,
worth it.
I'll rather be
Yes.
that, you know. I'll rather know Hore inside and out, like I was just fully being just a good human being, you know, and not really depending on my flesh. So I feel like the discipline thing goes with the flesh and the spirit too, because if I want it, I want to get it now, you know. So yeah, I feel like discipline and process is what we have lost as our youth.
I think it also, with the process, because what's running in my mind when she says process is that when they waited it was right for them to take action. So what we want to do is rush things, and when we rush things, things don't go our way. So yeah, it goes back to process and not being disciplined. And I feel like also, like, I was having a conversation with someone today that we lost the art of learning as youth. We don't learn about ourselves. We don't learn about our history. We don't learn about certain things that we need to know. That you feel like, oh no, I don't need to know this just because I'm not studying this specific field. So we've lost that only certain people need to know that information. If you're into politics, you're the only one who can learn about politics, but you're living in the country and you don't know what's going on. You're living in the country and you don't know what drugs are doing to people, your peers. So you are, what is it? Without knowing. And I was saying to that person that the reason why I learn like politics now is for my knowledge, because I cannot follow something blindly not knowing what am I following. I cannot say I support this party or I support this president not knowing what it is that they do, what they stand for, what they do.
They could be trafficking kids and you don't know.
So yeah.
So thank you for that. Actually, I want to push it further to say learning goes even beyond that. Learning for yourself in a sense that we don't do self-introspection as people. We don't sit and say, okay, this is where I am, this is where I was yesterday, where do I want to see myself tomorrow? Because I think if we were intentional in identifying our weaknesses, our mistakes, and like you said, Katlawa, that addiction does not only happen once. And addiction, I've also heard and read that addiction is painful. People want to come out of something, but it is beyond them. So before we can even judge, we need to offer grace, we need to pray, we need to offer intentional assistance, because I've got a brother who suffers from substance abuse. Every time when he is sober, he wishes, oh Lydia, this is what my life is going to be like. But immediately when the time comes, he is back to the circle, that cycle of the same thing. So I think we need to intentionally, we may not be driven by substance abuse, most of us, but we are driven by other things that we may not be talking about today.
Right now.
But as a person, do we sit and say, what kind of a human being have I become? And am I becoming a better person, or am I taking 10 steps back? Who am I following? Who is influencing my life? What is influencing my life? And the question that I want to pose to someone who is listening, who is suffering with substance abuse, someone that we know, like my brother, the question is, can a young person or can an abuser of substance recover from their mistakes, from what they have done?
Yes.
Yes? I hear you, absolutely. Why do you say that?
Like I mentioned, it depends whether the person really wants to, to do the work. And then also with family support, institutional support, like going to rehab. But it really starts with the person, And then I also hear a lot, especially parents of young addicts, they always worry that once they are discharged from rehab, they wouldn't want them to go back to the environment where they have easy access to drugs or to the dealers. So yeah, it depends on the person, on the kind of support they have, and also maybe on the environment. But people do recover, and they tell stories from any kind of addiction. Yeah.
You want to speak, Mohammed? Any other perspective? Yes, the answer is yes. People can recover. And one of the greatest lies that the addiction would tell you is that there's no hope. You are a failure. There's no turning back. You can't make it. But the grace of God, like we always say, this is what John Wesley says, that the grace of God is something that you cannot even explain, but you cannot even touch. You cannot even see the work of grace. And as Mama Sibi said, people have been addicted before, beyond just drugs, beyond just alcohol, with many things. But those people today, they stand at pulpits, they stand at the front, take the center stage, telling people about their lives, how their lives were transformed. So it is possible that anyone, if you are struggling with any substance abuse, know that it is possible. We read about different characters in the Bible, people who have failed, people who were written off, but the grace of God found them, and the grace of God transformed the person. So it is possible even to us today. So the question is, what role should the church play? Are we doing enough by coming in and out on a Sunday? Are we doing enough by just praying for people? Or what else do we need to do as the church? As preachers, my stance is we need to preach those sermons that leave the comfortable uncomfortable. We need to continue to teach, not only on a Sunday. Exactly this what is happening, and we should not be people of numbers. we should not be discouraged because of numbers. The message continues. The message is conveyed. Whether we are 2, whether we are 3, we continue to proclaim and remind people, because someone right there online may be on the edge of giving up, thinking that it is the end of them. All they need is that reminder that yes, I can still make it. Yes, I am not late. And God's timing is not late. Our God is not late. Our God is always on time. Our God is not absent. Our God is not blind to your situation, that you may be suffering with whatever that has taken your life, has stolen your dreams. So as the church, we continue to be a place of belonging, a place of that we give nothing but compassion, we show love, we accommodate, we do not judge, we offer grace. So we continue to teach. Anything else that you think the role of the church? Because one would really ask, and that would actually challenge me. What are we doing as the church? Because we see it right here next to us. What are we doing? We come in and out every Sunday and closed in this building, preaching to one another as the converted. But we left. Kato challenged me the other day, and I said one day I'm going to do it, that we're not going to church in the building, we're going to church outside. Seriously, what are we gaining by churching inside the building, Mama Gavin? Is that what God has called us for, to be? Because John Wesley says we are, what is that word? The world is my parish. We are to be found outside, proclaiming the gospel, the good news to the lost. Are we really doing that as the church? On Pentecost in Tadem City, I said we are so much about, what's the word that I'm looking for? Fighting with each other as the church. We are so blinded by what is happening on the outside. It's all about ourselves, about how we are arguing with one another. We are missing the mission of God, what God has called us to be and to do. The question is, can a young person or an addict, irrespective of the age, recover from their failures, from their mistakes, of their lives having been taken and been stolen?
The question was,
what role should the church play? Yes.
I feel like the church, we don't talk about, like, I feel like what's missing or the solution. A lot of people forget what was the reason you know. The friend that I was talking about, Lena, he has this thing where he likes to challenge me. Christian, but you're doing this, he likes doing stuff like that. So he's like, sometimes I think what Christian people miss is, I just need you to tell me, Luena, you once fell for the same thing that I'm falling for right now.
You were not just righteous from
the beginning. And that caught me, and I was like, oh, I am so sorry. It seemed that way. I'm trying to make myself seem so like holy. Time, we are people of, you know, at the end of the day, and we get tempted and we start again, we fall again. So I feel like people, when we end up finding ourselves in the church again, because of maybe what we've been through, I think when we start now our journey with God, a lot of people then now forget the same person I am in country. Lena ofitile through whatever you're going through, and then we have this thing we don't want to share testimonies because now we are shameful of it to even say it out loud. Okay, now I am an addict of 1, 2, and 3. So the church then has this thing, or people have this mindset that the church will somehow judge you for saying it out loud, I guess, So I think the testimonies is what is missing, that now 1, 2, 3, I was here before, So I feel like for people out there, all they need to hear is that Lena, I was here, Lena, I need somebody who I don't get somebody believe So I feel like that's
Goodness. Yes, thank you. Letabo Mohau.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing as Letao, because I feel like in as much as we do encourage a sense of community in the church, a big factor that we lack is vulnerability.
Sure.
So we know each other as like people who go to church.
Perfect people.
Yeah, but then we don't know.
Sure. This girl, you're worse than me.
Sorry. It was coming to my face. Okay, but one thing that, like, we just know each other on a surface level, and it just makes it seem like I'm less than compared to other people.
Sure.
So I think if people also got the opportunity to share testimonies as well, would also make people feel like they belong as well, and they aren't less than other people.
My
And they'll
goodness.
feel more comfortable in the church as well.
Sure.
I think food is also this thing goes
Thank
back to, like if the child is born, it comes to church, you as the rev, you baptize the child from the bed. Even if a person now is passed on, this is the trend they used to say, you guys can go to church, but at the end of the day, the rev will come and bury me. You see, you used to say that during COVID, you were burying a lot of people. So people, they have this tendency, what's the point of us going to church? But at the end of the day,
I'm buried by
I'm going to buried by the minister. You guys have been going to church and everything. So I think the church is doing their part, but also this thing is going to the humanist decision. What are you deciding is human? Because if I can tell you, you can go and church outside. You see, during the Bible, we go out, people are just looking at us and they're like, now they're going out, okay, they're just coming out, looking at us and then go back. But now if I'm passing Joburg, if at Joburg you'll find a traditional healer is there, you'll find people there a lot looking at a traditional healer. But if now we're coming with this God to them, you'll find maybe there are 4 people who are listening to them preaching. So I think you as ministers, you are doing the part, church is doing the part, but it's with the people's perspective. How are they viewing church?
Sure.
So I think it goes around those ways.
Sure. Mama Kabinde, thank you.
No, I just thought of maybe, well, the church is trying, but I think we need to maybe have, like we normally do with GBV, like we wear black, and even though we don't talk much about it, it's just to observe the day and all that. Maybe as a church, we also need to have a day where it's a day, maybe we talk problem, it's like a pandemic. The whole country is facing this problem. Maybe if we have such, maybe one Sunday in a, I don't know, maybe in a month or twice in a month, where we invite people to talk about substance, and also maybe the victims and maybe the parents or whoever who is affected, maybe they share. We do have who maybe are having children who are abusing drugs and all that, they're struggling with substance abuse, but they cannot say that they don't have any platform. They still go back home with that pain.
Sure.
Maybe if we have those days whereby we talk about that, maybe we invite the police, we invite, people, experts, people who will just talk about drugs and types of drugs and rehabilitation and, how to go about it. Maybe if you are a parent and you have a child who's abusing drugs and all that, maybe in that way, even if maybe it's not on a Sunday, maybe during the week or whenever, like we're doing with teaching through conversation. Suffering silently.
Wilhello, thank you, ma. You want to say something?
me the question.
What role can the church play with this issue of substance abuse?
Firstly, I would say that the church does play its role, but the church don't really take it outside, as in like you do this thing, okay, Sundays now, sorry, now you're doing this thing, like every Sunday you're gonna come to church and then pray for all those who are sick, pray for all those who are doing drugs, but do you do it when you're outside of church?
Sure.
So you just pass them as if like you don't even know them, or maybe like even encourage it. You don't even try and help out. So yeah.
And like I said, I'm guilty of that I pass them and I fail to rebuke or to bring awareness. Are you aware of what you are doing? Do you need help? Perhaps that's the question. How can I help you? And I liked what you guys said in terms of we like to appear as if we have it all as people. We do not want to be vulnerable in the presence of others. And let me tell you something about conversion. Conversion, when you become converted, it does not happen like all at once and then you are there fully. There are struggles. After you have experienced that conversion, that now I'm following Christ, that now I am saying goodbye to what I used to do, there are struggles, there are challenges. You find yourself being pulled back, where you have to have that conversation with yourself that, no, I don't want to go there anymore, I want to be here. But part of you wants to be where you used to be. And I've been there. And this is a struggle that I can share. I've told them about it at my screening, because that we are screened as ministers. When you become a minister, you tell them how you got your calling, how God spoke to you, and what God is saying. What do you need to do, or how God wants to use you. But then part of that is that, what was your conversion like? And I told them that part of my conversion was I was smoking while my peers were drinking, and to fit in, like I said, to please people. And they told me that it's either you drink or you smoke, and I chose to smoke. And when I chose to smoke, I thought, I am this clever girl. I was smoking Vogue. I don't know if you know Vogue.
The long one.
A long, beautiful, sexy cigarette. But then it does not come in loose. Does not come in loose. You only have to buy it, a packet, 10 rand at that time. Sometimes I did not have 10 rands. So I found, to see that I was getting addicted, becoming addicted, I found myself now buying a loose one of Stuyvesant. It's no longer Vogue, which is light, which is meant to be light, which we are light to, or it's for ladies, beautiful ladies. Yeah. So I'm now going to Stuyvesant. I realize, no, I'm becoming addicted here. I am becoming addicted. That's how I said, this thing is not good for me. It started as an experiment. It started as pleasing people, but then it was becoming something that now I'm taking it to the next level. Yes, I struggled. I went to parties. I never drank, but I went to parties. My friends would tell you, I still have the same friends today. My friends would tell you, Bonate would drink. Now I had a lot of energy of dancing. I liked to dance, Kato, don't laugh. Yeah? Yes, I was drinking Red Bull. Today I don't drink Red Bull. I don't drink any energy drink. So I have been there where I found myself in spaces where I was not supposed to, and they became an addiction, because I was no longer staying at home, I was staying in a flat, and I made wrong choices, Babal. So I did not come as a minister like this. I had and I have my own struggles. So, like, you are right. that we fail to give testimonies. We fail to demonstrate to people that this thing, the journey of Christianity, comes with its own struggles. And it is us falling that the grace of God yarepahamis. That's why I always say, Sunday is far from Sunday. Hence, John Wesley said we need to meet during the week and we need to open ourselves to the work of grace, God's grace. We need to open ourselves to the work of the Holy Spirit, because what was done for us on Good Friday, which was justification, which was for all of us, but that one event calls us into a process of salvation, which is continuous. But it is when we open ourselves to the work of the Holy Spirit in our lives, to say, here I am, work in me, because on my own I cannot.
I think that how was your question about the church? I'm assuming you're talking about globally the church.
Yes, the church universal.
That I think I've said this to you before, that I think the church is lacking a bit, because the government's voice over the churches. We follow the government. We follow the world. Even an example with the GBV thing, the purple, Why did the church wait for outsiders to do it before we do it? Substance abuse. Mama Kambide, is there are people sitting here with family members who are struggling with 1, 2, and 3, but the church is not a safe space for them to talk. Yes, you're talking about testimony, but is the church a safe space for people to really be vulnerable and be like, I am struggling with 1, 2, and 3, or I need prayers about, or hamutaya altering, and then they're praying out loud, or we text each other quickly about it in the church. So I think we really need to self-introspect. But we always say people should self-introspect, but they don't self-introspect. I do think that the church really needs to. I think it's Desmond Tutu, and at those times I was very young, but I do remember it felt like the church had a voice back then. Right now, it's so quiet. GBV, we are sitting with victims as well as perpetrators, and we cannot, as the church, obviously God will never chase out the perpetrator. They both need God. But what is the church doing in such instances? There are people here, maybe God forbid, Mamsibe hasat like again. You don't know why Mamsibe left the church. Or something happened. But we like that thing, you actually ask, and we will then say, but she won't tell you what happened. That's the thing. It goes back to little Buakaye.
Space.
Little Buakaye. And I think our generation is the one that needs to fix that and really be, because I don't know if it's too late for you. Oh, it's never too late. But
It's never too late.
Really be intentional, and I was telling her, even in the building on Sunday is really getting to a point. I know I'm 24, I haven't been in the church for that long like you guys who are older, but what I mean is that yes, you see these people and some of them used to come to church, now they don't. Did we ask? No. We just and then going outside, yes, they may look at us zamukul, but if we do it consistent, someone might get that. John Wesley said his heart was strangely warmed. He was not the only one his heart was strangely warmed. I think a lot of us experience it, but you can't explain it. They will also experience that thing. God is calling me into this place. So we need to go out, do the thing, because in the church we are preaching to one another, but we have all met God. Yes, some of us maybe are church goers, but we don't have a relationship with God. But still, at least you are in the center. So yeah.
Thank you so much.
And it reminds me when me and Letavo were going and telling like the community of Lombardy about Youth Unplugged the first time when it started. Right? Wasn't that when it was starting? Yeah. And we came across a young man. He's like, he got confirmed here. But he's scared to come back because and Abu Ali Mama what is she going to say? Or when I come back, what is she going to ask me?
What happened?
Yeah. So there is a person out there. It's just that they're scared to come back.
My goodness.
Because we are not welcoming.
Sure.
Our arms are not open.
Sure. Thank you for that. I'm actually challenged. I'm actually convicted that as the church, we will not only do more with gender-based violence, but we will also make sure that we tackle things like substance abuse. Talking about that person who wishes to come back, who wishes to rehabilitate, to become a better person, what message do we say to them? What are we saying to the person who is sitting there and thinking that we will judge, we will ask questions? I want to say to that person that you are worth than your mistakes, your failures, your addiction, your temporary high. Your dreams are still valid. You are still a child of God. You can still make a turning point. You can still make a turn. Because that's what grace does. After the grace have converted you, we call it the convicting grace, the convincing grace. You make a 360-degree turn. And people will not believe. Because that's what grace does. People will not recognize you. That, is it that same person who used to be controlled by the substance? Because the grace of God has just transformed you. So I want to say to you, your life still matters. Your future is still there. Anything that you want to add?
I think,
Yes, Evangelist.
Yes, thank you for this. I thought I need to say something about the role of the church. But thank you for all the other contributions. They're very worthwhile. I think we can partnership with different organizations like AA, even offer them space to actually do their work.
And Calvary, that's
They
what they
do
do.
that.
Yeah, and maybe without necessarily, also maybe ask them whether can we come and just make a prayer.
Yes.
So that at least maybe we can share a word, without being domineering. I'm also happy that we spoke about this thing of testimonies. We have another view. I remember when we were younger, when we would play church, and we like to mimic those who said they used to drink.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah. Very true.
But also in that you were
Literally
learning,
tasted.
okay, I should not do this thing that person did.
Yes.
Yes, Mohau, as we wrap up.
I think for me, what I would say to people who are scared of what others would say is that once they acknowledge that there's only one person who can judge them, and whoever says anything is really irrelevant, then I think it really does something to you.
Goodness.
From like a personal experience like that I've shared during the youth camp with the bullying and stuff from grade 6, 7. When I actually acknowledged the fact that only God can judge me in grade 11, that's when it really helped me let go of thinking of who can say what. I mean, now the confidence I have to even post myself on social media was a struggle from grade 7 until like recently. So I feel like when you actually realize that even if you do good, people will say something and you're not in control of what people are going to say to you. And only God is the one who can judge and who can transform you as well. So really just, it's easier said than done, but don't take other people seriously, because people really just, people sometimes only get happiness by making you feel bad.
And they
So
project.
yeah, they really do project. So just recognizing that no, Kingwana Mudimo and other people really can say whatever they want to say, but only God knows my heart. Then come to church.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much. That brings our conversation, our episode 2 to an end. Thank you so much for joining. Let us remember that substance abuse is not only an issue of young people, but it is a community issue, it is a family issue. It has broken, it has stolen dreams, it has stolen futures, it has stolen people's relationships. So Youth Month, therefore, is not only about us commemorating 1976, but it is also about protecting the future of young people today. As I usually say, that we are not looking and what's the word, protecting and safeguarding the church of tomorrow, but you are the church of today. So may we therefore raise young people who dream boldly, who live purposefully, who knows that they are the children of God. Call yourself that. I am a child of God. I am not my mistake. I am not my failure. And do not choose anything else, but choose life. And what is life? Life is choosing God, is choosing Christ, who said, I did not only come to make sure that you have life, but life in its abundance, life in its fullness. So follow that God and choose life. So thank you so much for joining us. It has been Teaching Through Conversation, where we do not just teach, but we learn from one another. So stay grounded, stay curious, and stay in love with Christ. God's blessings.